Good morning, welcome back to the show. 11:36 is the time. Tom Slater is still with me, and I'm Julia Hartley-Brewer, and we've been talking about the budget. Let's get the views of somebody, very much concerned about how the budget's going to impact business, but particularly the hospitality sector. Sacha Lord is a former Labour Party donor, very much emphasis on the former there, and he was also a former nighttime economy advisor for Greater Manchester to Andy Burnham, and joins us. Good morning to you, Sacha.
Morning, Julia.
Thank you very much indeed. Look, you've been involved in setting up festivals, nightclubs, and we've had some good nights out, have we not, as a result? As I know you just mentioned to my producer about the last time we saw each other, but we'll come to that. But, I mean, people talk about the nighttime economy and they talk about hospitality, and they're very casual about it. And as we discussed again and again every single day on my show during lockdown, it's like it is one of the major employers in this country. It's a huge backbone, not just of our economy, but also of our local communities, local pubs, local cafes, restaurants and the like. What hope do you have that Rachel Reeves, who's not got a very strong track record on helping business, given her last budget, is going to actually help those businesses that you care so much about?
I don't have any hope whatsoever, to be honest, Julia. It's just not going to happen. What she did at the last budget by raising the national insurance crucified my industry. You know, you're right, we're the fifth biggest industry in the whole of the UK. We're the third largest employer. Since her last budget, we've lost 110,000 jobs in hospitality. And when you drill down into that, into the minutiae, the vast majority of those jobs are for young people growing up who maybe want to support going through college with a Saturday job in a pub or university. Those jobs are lost. And, you know, you're right, Julia. I was a Labour Party member. I was a Labour Party donor. Back, and I had a look at this, I checked it. Back in 2022, I tweeted, I've just become a Labour Party member. One of the first comments below that was actually yourself. You just said, good luck with that. And actually, do you know what? It's proven true. And again, I was at the manifesto launch last year, Julia. It was 13th of June. And I stood there in this incredible building called Noma in Manchester. Yeah. The whole of the shadow cabinet were there. The Chancellor was there. The now PM was there, and the Chancellor stood and she said, I am the Chancellor of business, I'm the Chancellor of growth. And we were all became very excited about this, and it is simply just not the case. Hospitality...
Did she lie?
She did not tell the truth, and I am sick to death of her turning around and blaming everybody else apart from herself. And yes, there were 14, 15 years of mismanagement under the Tories. There were. But she's come in now, she's had long enough, and she's turning her back on this sector.
Now, are you just being a misogynist? Because apparently that's what people are when they criticise the Chancellor, because she's the first female Chancellor. Apparently they keep going on about it.
I've seen this, mansplaining. How pathetic is that? I mean, for God's sake, you know, can we not say what we honestly think? You know, I had a very, very similar thing when I was advisor for Andy Burnham in Manchester. I had a counterpart down in London, and the nights
the useless one.
You said that.
Well, she was utterly. What was her name? Utterly useless, barely at work.
Well, you know, and I used to call it out, and that was the thing. I was a misogynist, and it was. Come on, let's all grow up. It's not playground stuff, and the Chancellor has to take some responsibility now. And you know, it feels to me a very awkward budget that's coming tomorrow, because I don't think this is a budget to save the country. I think this is a budget to save two jobs, and those two jobs are the PM and the Chancellor.
Well, that's the worry. It's going to save two jobs at the expense of lots of others. And we're told constantly, you know, we're going to be hitting savers, going to be hitting people who, again, getting dragged. And the Tories did this as well. Lots of parties have done this. These so-called stealth taxes, where the thresholds on which you pay a higher rate of tax, whether it's 20%, 40% or 45%, they get frozen, and basically more and more people who do not highly paid, top-notch jobs, but completely average, normal jobs, then get pulled into higher rate taxes. And a lot of people say that's what's going to happen with the mansion tax. But most of us don't own a £2 million house. Goodness me, most people can't dream of owning a £2 million house. But yeah, one day house prices will go up enough that actually an awful lot of people will end up owning a house that's much more expensive. But also, they'll lower it. There'll be a higher rate of tax, and it will be on lower value properties, and more people. And the taxes keep going up, but we never seem to have something to show for it.
Never. I mean, I'm staying in my lane on this, and I can tell you I've been in this industry for 30 years, Julia. I have never known, and this includes COVID period as well, where we used to talk quite a lot during that period. I've never known the industry so demoralised as it is now. And I had a conversation with a landlord who had a pub in Coventry, I won't mention it, and in January he's going to hand his keys back. But the worst thing is, the heartbreaking thing is, he's lost his home. He brought his kids up in that pub. Yeah. They lived up the pub. Said not just lost the business, his finances are in tatters. Yeah. His mental health's in tatters. His relationships in tatters. And there's a bigger picture to this. Pubs are not just about a pint.
Exactly.
They're a part of our social fabric. And, when you look at this now, this is just to put something into perspective for your listeners. By the time you've paid for your pint, which on average is £6.50 in Manchester, I'm hearing in London now is anything between £7.50 and £8. By the time you've paid your alcohol duty, your VAT, you've paid for the beer itself, you've paid for the staff, the average profit on a pint in the UK is 12p. It's untenable.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absurd. And people are drinking at home. And I know, I've got a teenager. They all drink at home. They do prees, and they'll drink at home. They're not going out, and the pubs are dying. And the thing is, and then everyone moans about their kids sitting at home. And actually, we want them out and about and being social, meeting new people, having fun together, and having a life. It is desperate. In terms of what we're expecting to hear tomorrow. What would you like to hear? What could the Chancellor announce tomorrow that would make a difference to jobs in the sector you care about?
So if I was the Chancellor, I would introduce 3 things tomorrow. And these things, by the way, won't happen. But firstly, let's reduce VAT. Actually, Rishi Sunak did this coming out of lockdown. It was incredible. It saved
for everybody across the board, or just in hospitality?
It's a hospitality-specific sector VAT, the same as they have in Europe. Europe between 7 and 8% at the moment. We're obviously 20%. So reduce it by 5, just bring it down to 15%. That would give enough headway. I'd also reverse the ridiculous national insurance increase that were introduced last year. And the final thing is business rates reform. Now, we know that's coming, and that's probably going to be what she's going to call her rabbit out of the hat tomorrow. But that was announced months and months ago. We know that's already been agreed. That will probably be welcome for small venues like pubs, cafes, family-run restaurants. But actually those bigger, larger scale venues like nightclubs, for example, that could be quite crippling.
Yeah, absolutely. You worked for Andy Burnham. I say last time I saw you was in Manchester, and Angela Rayner joined us at a club night. I mean, I put out a photo of it at the time, and and so what you like about Angela Rayner, she's fun on a night out. I can't say we're best buddies, but certainly not politically. Do you think that no one seems to think Keir Starmer's doing a very good job, least of all actually Labour Party members, or indeed Labour MPs right now? Do you think either Andy Burnham, who many are touting as a future leader but isn't an MP yet, or Angela Rayner, the former Deputy Prime Minister, who had to resign over not paying her stamp duty and apparently still hasn't paid it, but do you think either of those people would make a better Prime Minister?
Well, you'd have to ask them, but looking
No, I'm asking you.
Well, okay, I'll read between the lines. Greater Manchester, it was announced last week, is performing economically better than any other city region in the whole of the UK. We are bouncing. Our nightlife is bouncing at the moment. People are looking at Greater Manchester as a model. It is working. Last week it was announced that we're going to have £1 billion invested, not just in the city centre, but all the boroughs across Greater Manchester. We have 10 boroughs in Greater Manchester. So things are working, things are right. I look at the Labour Party at the moment and things aren't working at the top. I don't think, I think it's going to be catastrophic for them come May at the local elections. Yep. And I know so many hard-working Labour councillors in Greater Manchester who've been doing fantastic jobs. And through no fault of theirs, Julia, they're going to lose their jobs come May. I know that's going to happen, and I feel very sorry for them. So, yeah, Greater Manchester is working. It's a good model.
I think he's given us his answer. Yes, he thinks Andy Burnham would be better Prime Minister. I think we can paraphrase. Sacha Lord, great to hear from you. Former Labour Party donor and former nighttime economy advisor for Greater Manchester to Andy Burnham. Tom Slater, listening to all of that, what do you make of it?
I'm not entirely sure Andy Burnham would make a better Prime Minister. I think the question at the moment is who...
He's further to the left.
No, exactly. Well, he's decided that he is now. I mean, that's the thing about Andy Burnham, is that he's...
Flip-flop Andy, as he was known
exactly.
in two leadership contests.
This is a man, he was a new Labourite, then he was a kind of born-again left-winger. Lord knows where he is now with his sort of Manchester brand of Labour that he wants to revive. I mean, that's one thing that the Labour Party do have to reckon with, is that as terrible as the current shower at the top of the Labour Party are, and they are terrible, we can all see that, who is going to replace them? Andy Burnham, again, tried to do this putsch earlier this year, failed miserably. You've got Wes Streeting, who is a great media performer. Unlike Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer, he at least appears to have a pulse when he's on television. But do we really think he's got the answers to the questions that...
Well, certainly not when it comes to puberty blockers for kids, as we were discussing yesterday. I think he should be in prison for that, well, so rather than actually be Prime Minister. So it's not purely that Keir Starmer can't lead the Labour Party. It's not a personnel issue.
Well, it is in a very deep sense, and it's not simply that Rachel Reeves can't run the economy. It's that it's not obvious that anyone in that party is anywhere near capable of actually grasping the moment.
Well, I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of that. 0344 499 1000.